Hello, hello, hello. I hope you're doing absolutely fantastic today. All right, in today's video, I want to share something here. This is a trap that so many people fall into. It's something I have fallen into, and I want to shine a big bright light on it. So, if this is you right now, you learn how to pivot yourself if you are wanting to get to the next level in your career, in your life, in your leadership, in your success, no matter what it looks like. Something that's been happening in the last number of years is just we live in such a fascinating time right now. Like I often just reflect, like these are just really weird times because there's so many of us that have been caught in these loops and these patterns of ways of being, and they keep us stuck, right? They don't help us move forward. And so part of this really next part of the path for you is to see the patterns really, really clearly. And a lot of this is about trusting yourself more because the truth is you've probably seen some patterns before that you have downplayed, that you have justified, like negative patterns that you've justified or things you've talked yourself out of. Because the path forward, I know you have a high enough consciousness now, okay? I know you do. You've done some inner work, you are aware, you have integrity, you felt all these beautiful things, but something you likely haven't mastered is the focus of your mind and learning to trust what you see and the patterns that you see. Because a lot of times we know things. And this world has convinced us that unless you have proof of something, right? Unless there's a study, unless there's some data, or unless there's something that can show what you see is real, it's not really real, which is a complete lie, right? We've created this world that is so dependent on data. But it completely ignores this thing called your intuition and your ability to see patterns. One of the biggest things and one of the biggest shifts I went through, and I'm going to share my experience here with you today. I mean, as I often do, but for years, and I mean like years, decades, I could see patterns. I could see things differently. What you're told is really happening. I would often sense, what I was being told isn't really what's happening because I have the ability to read the energy in a situation. And as I have evolved over these last 20 years, this really journey for me has been about trusting myself. Because this is what it's about right now. I talk about reclaiming your power. I talk about alignment. I talk about choosing yourself. I talk about energy. I talk about all these things. But so much of this, the center of all this is you beginning to trust what you see, trust what you know, trust what you feel without anybody around you validating it. So I've had this experience a lot of times where, say I'm in a dynamic in a relationship with somebody, and it could be personal, it could be professional, it could be anything, just an interaction with somebody, and I'm feeling something is off. And, there's been times where shared that with a friend or shared it with another colleague, like I'm sensing this. And what I've sensed, what I've seen, what I've observed has been like, oh no, you're just imagining things. That's not really it. Oh no, you're being too paranoid, or you're being too this. Only to find out, no, actually, I really saw it quite accurately. You go down the road and things unfold as they always do. And this has happened to me a lot in my life before I started to really trust myself and really recognize that I actually see things a lot more clearly than I've ever given myself credit for. So this may be happening to you, and I'd love to hear in the comments if this is something you've experienced, where you've sensed something, known something, and had no proof. You have no proof of what you're seeing. Like I said, it could be a pattern. And if you've expressed that to somebody and somebody has said, no, you're not really seeing that, because it's not the narrative, it's not the norm, or it's a pattern that is so prevalent that people don't even see it for what it really is. That actually happens a lot in power play dynamics. Power play dynamics have been so normalized that people don't even see them for what they are. It's so interesting. I saw a post yesterday on social media. And of course, there's a lot going on in the world in politics and the war in Iran and Of course, Trump is always, inflaming people, right? And I'm a Canadian, I'm not even an American, but I know obviously it affects us all, right? And there was a post where somebody wrote that they had a conversation with their father who was a supporter of Trump. And they said, this person in the post said, my dad finally admitted he was wrong in voting for Trump. And now we're able to have a conversation. And I read that and everybody's going, oh yeah, no, finally he's admitted it and da da da. And immediately I'm like, why did you need your father to admit that he was wrong about voting for Trump? He made the decision he felt was good in the moment. And I'm not saying I'm supporting Trump or don't support Trump. I'm just looking at this from the energetics, right? This is purely energy. He maybe felt, I'm sure he did, feel that he made the best decision with the information that he had at the time. Does he have to admit he made the wrong decision? Or can he just be like, you know what, new information's come in. Wow, okay, this didn't go the way I thought it would. Oh, shoot, now what? Like, that's the healthy energy, right? But it was so interesting how this post by this gentleman was like, my dad finally admitted he was wrong. And it's like, no, he doesn't have to admit he was wrong. There's nothing wrong with saying, oh, wow, okay, new information's come to light. There's nothing wrong with saying that. That's a power play. That's a hierarchy. And like I said, there were so many people that I saw going, yeah, like, oh, I'm glad he finally admitted it. Like there was there's a win here. That's very competitive. It's very hierarchical. It's a power play. And I mean, I read this and I'm just like, regardless of how you feel politically, there's something really wrong with the person who's going, I needed my dad to admit he was wrong. Your dad was making a decision that he felt was right for him. He doesn't have to admit anything to you. Now, I don't know the dynamics of what went on between the family members, of course, right? Of course. But this notion that he needed his dad to admit he was wrong was very much a power play. I'm going to make you admit you're wrong. It can be simply like, wow, I've learned new information. And so it's really important as you want to step into this next level is to learn to trust yourself when energy doesn't feel right, when a situation doesn't feel right, and everybody and their dog can be supporting it. They can be loving it. They can be saying there's nothing wrong with it. But you would be surprised at how much power play dynamics play out. Another example of one that I've been dealing with in my personal life lately, just this past weekend, is when somebody says they're busy all the time. That can often, not always, that can be a power play move. Have you ever felt that when someone always says they're busy and maybe they put you down on an importance and a priority? That can be a power play move. 100%, because then you're the person that's having to prove that you're worth their time. Like, how often do we see this? Oh, I'm just a really busy person. Are you? Because you know what? I look around and I don't see anybody who's not busy. Like, tell me something new. Like, everybody's busy. We don't have to say we're busy. It's about priorities, right? And I'm busy is such a logical explanation why somebody may not be fully present or fully commit. But it's so important now that you start to really trust your own intuition, even when optics look a certain way, because we've also been taught in this world to worry about our image and optics and all these things. We got to look a certain way. It's really important that you start to feel into the energy of things and not worry about what everybody is saying. Somebody could be saying like, oh, there's nothing wrong with what that person said, or that's fine. But if it doesn't feel right, your intuition, your inner guidance is telling you something. And if you want to get to the next level, you must start listening to that. Because if there are dynamics that are not healthy for you, those are going to bring you down. If there's dynamics where you're proving yourself, you're justifying yourself, or there's dynamics where you are in a power play and you know it because you feel it, you will feel it. If somebody's always trying to kind of have the upper hand, you don't need to get them to admit it because they're not going to. Right? They're not going to. You don't need somebody to give you proof. If you feel like somebody is trying to maneuver themselves above you, it's because they are. It's because they are. So this next level is really about trusting yourself at such a deep and profound level, not seeing evidence, not seeing proof. You have to be able to back yourself. That is one of the most important things in creating success, is being able to back yourself, to have your own back. I have said this so many times too. There's this phenomena in corporate world where people don't trust their boss with good reason. I say it's a phenomenon, but there's a lot of good reasons. Here's really important to know, and especially if you're a leader right now in corporate, your staff or people around you, not even just your staff, it could be like personal dynamics too. People will not fully trust you to have their back if you don't have your own. That's really important. I'm going to say that again. People will never fully trust you to have their back if you don't have your own, because you can't. You can't have somebody's back when it's hard, when it's tough, when it matters. Because it's easy to have somebody's back when things are going well. Oh my God, it's the easiest thing in the world to do. But that's not leadership. That's not leading your life. That's not creating success. That's just existing. It's just ease. What matters is, do you have your own back when everybody else is saying do this, or when everybody else is saying that's not the way, you're not seeing this clearly? Because that's when it matters. And when you have your own back at such a deep and profound level, that's when people are also magnetized to you, because they sense it. They know that if times get tough, you're going to be there, whether it's in a job, it's in a relationship, whatever it looks like. But the only way for you to have your back is to trust your intuition, to trust the niggle, to trust whatever it is, and not needing anybody else, needing zero validation that what you're seeing and what you're feeling and what you're experiencing is real. All you need is you. That's all you need. This is the new paradigm, this idea that we need consensus and fitting in and all this garbage, right? Because it's about fitting in. And if you listen to my video from yesterday, you need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet and stand out to create success. And go listen to that video, because I dive into the energetics of standing out. Really, really ties in actually quite beautifully with this video today. It's quite different, but it ties in beautifully. But you have to have your own back. You have to actually acknowledge and give yourself the validation that you're looking for from the outside world, where you've taught to get it from the outside world. Now is the time for you to give it to you. All right, beautiful soul, I hope this was helpful. Please share, subscribe, comment, tell me what landed for you, and I will see you in the next video.